For so many of the leaders I work with, they face this massive gap of understanding between themselves and the stakeholders they work with. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can bridge this gap by giving really clear explanations. For example, maybe you're trying to sell a highly technical product that's just right for your customer, but the customer just doesn't understand why they need it. Or maybe you're trying to persuade your senior leaders at HQ to adjust processes to better fit your local market conditions, but those senior leaders just don't get it. Or maybe you're trying to help a colleague navigate their way around your company systems, but they just don't understand how it works. This problem is commonly known as the curse of knowledge. When you know so much about something that others don't, it can be really hard to explain it to them. And giving good explanations is all about presenting your expert knowledge in a way others can easily understand. So let's see how we can do that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jamie, a leadership coach and trainer, and author of the book, The Story Habit: How Leaders Shape Stories That Drive Action. In my videos, I talk about leadership tips for communicating, influencing, and boosting productivity. And if you're interested in learning more about the story habit, then you can download my free Story Habit Story Guide by clicking the link in the description below. And by the way, if you find this video insightful, I spend many hours producing these videos every month, and a like and subscribe would really make my day. Thank you so much. A few months ago, my wife and I bought a laptop for my wife's mother to watch movies on. We got her an app where she could find the movies she wanted and download them. But after several months, she complained that her laptop was too slow. So I had a look at why and discovered the cause. "Ah, your hard drive is full," I said. "What's a hard drive?" she responded. I had met the curse of knowledge and needed to explain to my Chinese mother-in-law, who had zero experience with technology, what a hard drive is and how to avoid this problem in the future. So I'm going to use this as an example to demonstrate how to give clear explanations. Step 1. Relate. To relate to my mother-in-law, I started with an analogy. You know how when you go to the vegetable market and buy vegetables, you need a place to store them when you bring them home. So you store them in the fridge. Well, a hard drive is just like a fridge. When you download a movie on that app, your computer needs to store them somewhere. So it stores them on the hard drive. Always start your explanation with things they already know. If you start by describing things they don't know, they won't be able to relate and they'll switch off. A great way of doing this, like I did in the example, is by using an analogy. An analogy is something they know very well that's just like the thing you want to explain. This is a really quick way of helping people understand alien concepts without going into too much detail, and is a great way of starting any explanation. Step 2. The challenge. Now you've quickly bridged the gap of understanding by relating through an analogy, you can take your explanation a step further and point out the challenge they face. For example, "But you know when the fridge is too full and you can't put new vegetables in it and it takes you ages to search around for the old vegetables? Well, your hard drive is exactly like this. When you have too many movies on your hard drive, you can't store new movies, and it takes your computer a lot longer to open the older movies." The challenge part of your explanation gives them a reason to care, and that reason to care is what will motivate them to take action. So this brings me to the final step. Step 3, the resolution. Now you've given them a reason to care about taking action. It's time to focus on getting them to take action. This is the detailed part of your explanation, and normally the most complicated part. So a simple principle to remember here is to show, don't tell. For my Chinese mother-in-law, I didn't tell her how to delete the movie files because I'm sure she wouldn't have remembered. Instead, I showed her step by step. I showed her how to find the movie files. I showed her what buttons to press, and so on. This is the teaching part of the explanation and requires the most interaction. It can also require letting them practice and then giving them feedback as they go along. But remember, the key point here, the more details, the more you need to show. Let them see and experience those details for themselves, and they will find it much easier to remember. So there we have it, a simple framework for giving explanations. Start by relating, by using an analogy to quickly help them understand what you're talking about. Then point out the challenge, the pain point, to motivate them to take action. Then resolve by teaching them how to take the correct action, but making sure you show instead of tell. Relate, challenge, resolve is a fantastic framework for bridging that gap of understanding. It's also the core framework of my book, The Story Habit: How Leaders Shape Stories That Drive Action, which, if you're interested in learning more about, you can do so by downloading my free Story Habit Story Guide by clicking the link in the description below. If you found this video useful, then a like and subscribe would really help me to please the algorithm gods. Thank you so much, and have a great day.